today is 2 Corinthians chapter 12. This boasting will do no good, but I must go on. He's finishing up his monologue that we read about yesterday, and about all the things that he has suffered over the years. And so now he's continuing on. He says, I will reluctantly tell about visions and revelations from the Lord. I was caught up to the third heaven 14 years ago. Whether I was in my body or out of my body, I don't know. Only God knows. Yes, only God knows whether I was in my body or outside my body. But I do know that I was caught up to paradise and heard things so astounding that they cannot be expressed in words, things no human is allowed to tell. Wouldn't you like to do a study on that? Okay, verse 5. That experience is worth boasting about, but I'm not going to do it. I will boast only about my weaknesses. If I wanted to boast, I would be no fool in doing so, because I would be telling the truth, but I won't do it because I don't want anyone to give me credit beyond what they can see in my life or hear in my message, even though I have received such wonderful revelations from God. So to keep me from becoming proud, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger from Satan to torment me and keep me from becoming proud. It's very plain what he says right here, what the thorn in his flesh was. It was a messenger from Satan that was sent to him to keep him from becoming proud. He goes on to say in verse 8, three different times I begged the Lord to take it away. Take the thorn, the messenger from Satan, away. But each time the Lord said, my grace is sufficient. My grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. So now, Paul says, I am glad to boast about my weaknesses so that the power of Christ can work through me. That's why I take pleasure in my weaknesses and in the insults, hardships, persecutions, and troubles that I suffer for Christ. For when I am weak, then I am strong. All those weaknesses, insults, hardships, persecutions, and troubles, I believe, come from that messenger from the devil who is sent to torment Paul and to keep him from preaching this revelation that God has given him. But Jesus says, I'm stronger inside of you, Paul. You overcome everything that the enemy comes at you with or against you with. And so that's what I love how Paul just says, look, that's why I'm boasting on those things, not on the good things that I've done and all of my accomplishments, because I can't do everything on my own anyway. I need God's help. I love how he just plainly puts that. And then verse 11, he says, he's speaking again to his Corinthian believers and followers. He says, you have made me act like a fool. You ought to be writing commendations for me, for I am not at all inferior to these super apostles, even though I am nothing at all. When I was with you, I certainly gave you proof that I am an apostle, for I patiently did many signs and wonders and miracles among you. The only thing I failed to do, which I do in the other churches, was to become a financial burden to you. Please forgive me for this wrong. Do you hear the sarcasm in Paul's message here? Verse 14, Now I am coming to you for the third time, and I will not be a burden to you. I don't want what you have. I want you. After all, children don't provide for their parents. Rather, parents provide for their children. I will gladly spend myself and all I have for you, even though it seems that the more I love you, the less you love me. Doesn't that seem kind of like how God looks at us? He says he wants us, not what we have. I could go on further and say he wants us, not what we can do and all the things that we can provide or do for him, but he wants our heart. He wants who we are. Will you give your heart to him today? It's the best decision you'll ever make. Verse 16, some of you admit that I was not a burden to you, but others still think I was sneaky and took advantage of you by trickery. But how? Did any of the men I sent to you take advantage of you? When I urged Titus to visit you and sent our other brother with him, did Titus take advantage of you? No, for we have the same spirit and walk in each other's steps, doing things the same way. Perhaps you think we're saying these things just to defend ourselves. No, we tell you this as Christ's servants, and with God as our witness. Everything we do, dear friends, is to strengthen you. For I am afraid that when I come, I won't like what I find, and you won't like my response. I am afraid that I will find quarreling, jealousy, anger, selfishness, slander, gossip, arrogance, and disorderly behavior. Yes, I am afraid that when I come again, God will humble me in your presence. And I will be grieved because many of you have not given up your old sins. You have not repented of your impurity, sexual immorality, and eagerness for lustful pleasures. That is the end of chapter 12. I really liked verse 15 that says, I will gladly spend myself and all I have for you, even though it seems that the more I love you, the less you love me. I'm going to write that verse down in my journal. I pray that you'll find a verse that speaks to you and that you will write it in your journal and spend some time with the Lord, letting him explain that to you and how to apply that in your own personal life. I heard someone say a couple days ago that the Bible preaches. And so I will just let that lay there. The Bible preaches itself. Be blessed, friends.